absolute value of what is 5? So what values of x would make this true? If I plug in 5, then make it positive. Wait, it's already positive. Would it equal 5?
Yeah.
So 5 is going to work. That's duh. There's actually another answer.
-5.
Your other answer is -5. Because if I plug in -5, won't the absolute value change it to +5?
Yeah.
Thus, it equals 5. Absolute values have two answers. The technical definition of absolute value is the distance from what? 0. I call it the happy maker, makes everything positive, but the technical definition is distance from 0. What does that mean? Are both of these numbers 5 from 0?
Yeah.
So both of these are 5 from 0. Distance from 0. It's easier just to think of make your answer positive. Looking at number 1. Can anybody look at that and tell me the answer? There's two of them. Yes. What would make this equal to 2? Yes.
7 and -7.
Negative
Oh, yeah,
7.
no, right.
Negative 7 works because that will make that a -2. Absolute value makes it positive. So one of them will be -7. What's the other one? -3. -3 plus 5 is 2. Now, is it kind of difficult just to look at that and figure that out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the process. You basically take this and you make two equations. Your first equation is simply take that. Because if I solve this, will that give me one answer that will work?
Yeah.
The difference is you make another equation. What could this inside also equal so when you make it positive, it becomes a positive 2? If this inside equaled -2, if x plus 5 equals -2, do you understand? This becoming -2, would this be changed to a positive 2? So the inside here has to be 2, or the inside also has to be -2. There's two possibilities. So let's figure this out. The first one. Well, what plus 5 gives me 2? Well, if we just minus 5 over, we get x equals -3. As we said earlier, that's one of the answers. The other one, if we minus the 5 over, x equals -7, which earlier stated -7 plus 5 is -2, which then becomes a positive 2 when you enact the absolute values. So that's an easy one. This one's a little bit harder just to look at and find your answers. So let's do this one. Now, in order to do absolute values, you first have to isolate the absolute values. So is the absolute value by itself? No. So the first step is to actually isolate it. Otherwise, you cannot solve it with the process we're using. Equals what? 14. Now, does this now look a lot like this one? Yeah. So we can make two equations. One where 2x minus 4 equals 14. What's the other equation?
2x minus 4 equals -14.
Yes. 2x minus 4 equals -14. You make two equations, one where the absolute value equals 14, or what it's supposed to be, the other one where it equals the opposite. And then we solve them. Add 4, 2x equals 18. Over here, add 4, 2x equals negative 10. And then we divide by what?
2.
Divide by 2. This gives me x equals 9. And this one you're going to divide by 2. X equals negative 5. If you plug both these in up here, they should both work. So the first step is to isolate the absolute value, then make your two equations, solve each. Number 3. Is the absolute value isolated? No. So what do we do? That's 3 times the absolute value, so the opposite of times is divide. Those cancel. We now have 7 minus x, absolute value, equals negative 6. What do we do next?
You make the 2 problems.
You make the 2 equations. Actually, no. I'm smarter than this problem. I look at it and I go, this is impossible. I can stop. How do I know it's no solution right away? Yeah. If you plugged anything in here and then took its absolute value,
It can't be.
would you ever get a negative 6 out?
No.
Is it possible to ever absolute value something and get a negative out? So could I ever find an answer to work? So can I stop and say no solution before I go any farther? Watch out for that. If this is ever negative, once you isolate the absolute value, make sure you isolate the absolute value first. If this is ever negative, you just stop. You can't go any farther. It's never going to work. You're never going to get an output that's negative. So that is those solutions.